Harry's decision to share his story has sparked mixed reactions. Critics claim it has not only distanced him from his family, but also trapped him in an endless cycle of recounting personal struggles. While his revelations have drawn attention and boosted book sales, they have also opened him up to criticism and legal troubles. For example, his admission of drug use has fueled a visa controversy and painted a picture of carelessness, challenging his image as a committed husband and father. Additionally, the book's controversial content has deepened the rift with the royal family. Sharing private grievances has been widely criticized as self-serving, with many arguing that his willingness to reveal family disputes has damaged his relationship with both the public and his relatives. The royal family's dignified silence in response to his claims starkly contrasts with the ongoing drama surrounding Harry and Meghan, further highlighting the divide. As King Charles marked his 76th birthday with quiet dignity, Harry's actions served as a glaring reminder of the growing divide within the royal family. Meghan and Harry's absence from key royal events underscores their estrangement, while their ongoing criticism of the monarchy only widens the gap. Charles's choice to celebrate his birthday in a modest, family-centered manner reflects his commitment to unity and tradition values that many believe Harry and Meghan have left behind. The stark contrast between the King's composed approach and the Sussexes' public controversies is hard to overlook. With the visa issue looming, Harry's determination to remain in the United States faces significant obstacles, including mounting public scrutiny. Meghan's silence on the matter suggests a calculated effort to distance herself from the turmoil. However, given her prominent role in shaping their public narrative, it seems unlikely she will entirely escape its impact. The couple's ability to navigate the storm depends on their readiness to face their contradictions and take accountability, something they've shown little interest in so far. Many view Harry and Meghan, who position themselves as champions of social justice, as walking contradictions. Their repeated calls for privacy and freedom clash with their ongoing use of royal connections to fuel their high-profile ventures. Despite their frequent complaints about privilege, they continue to enjoy the lavish lifestyle that comes with it. Living in multi-million-dollar mansions, traveling the globe in luxury, and securing lucrative book and media deals stand in stark contrast to their rhetoric about humility and equality. While they portray themselves as victims of extraordinary hardship, their departure from royal duties appears to many as a calculated, opportunistic move. Harry, who once eagerly embraced the pomp and responsibilities of royal life, now claims to want nothing to do with it. As the ongoing saga of Harry and Meghan unfolds, the couple finds themselves navigating uncertain territory regarding their residency in the United States. With the possibility of Donald Trump's re-election on the horizon, Harry's tenuous visa status has come under fresh scrutiny, casting doubt on his claims of permanence in his adopted home. Between ongoing legal battles and public backlash sparked by his revelations in Spare, it seems his so-called sanctuary may not be as secure as he hoped. But let's be honest, Harry doesn't want to escape the monarchy entirely. What he truly seems to crave is the prestige it offers without the obligations. How else can one explain a man who spent decades benefiting from the resources, privileges, and global influence of royal life now lamenting his desire for freedom? The contradictions in his narrative are hard to ignore. The truth is, Harry and Meghan seem desperate for attention, relevance, and above all, the money that comes with it. It's an exhausting act. Meghan's hypocrisy, however, is just as glaring, if not more so. She talks about the importance of mental health and diversity, yet uses her platform to promote divisive rhetoric. Her comments on the struggles of marginalized communities often come off as empty words, as if she's just ticking boxes to maintain her woke image. It's hard to take her seriously when she's photographed in designer clothes, flying in private jets, and claiming to fight for the underprivileged. What Meghan seems to care about most is her image. She has crafted an entire persona around misleading stories, always portraying herself as the misunderstood, oppressed woman when, in reality, she's a privileged actress living a life of luxury. Marrying into one of the wealthiest families in the world, it's hard to describe it as anything other than a complete farce. And as for their so-called love story, let's not fool ourselves. This isn't a tale of two people overcoming challenges for the sake of love. It's a transactional arrangement dressed up as romance. Meghan, who had been out of the public eye for years before meeting Harry, suddenly found herself thrust into the global spotlight as the wife of a prince. The instant fame and fortune she gained from her marriage must have been exactly what she had been waiting for. It's clear that both Meghan and Harry thrive on the attention and status that come with being part of the royal family, but without the responsibilities or constraints. They want all the perks and none of the duties. This is an arrogant, self-serving pursuit. Harry's recent behavior has only intensified the public outrage surrounding them. Harry's constant snide remarks, sarcastic jabs at his family, and critical takes on the monarchy have become draining. It almost feels like he thinks he's a hero for speaking out against the institution that raised him. But in reality, his bitterness seems more like childish resentment. His criticisms of the royal family, whether valid or not, only feed the tabloids, and he knows it. Every time he speaks, it makes headlines, and that's exactly what he seems to want. After all, when you've lived your entire life in the public eye, attention becomes the most valuable thing, and Harry knows exactly how to manipulate that attention for his benefit. It's frustrating to watch, but what really bothers people is the sheer selfishness behind it all. Their constant need for validation, applause, and affirmation is exhausting. Harry and Meghan have come to symbolize entitled celebrity culture, always pushing their personal brand and making sure they stay in the spotlight while pretending to care about important causes. Their so-called charity work feels more like carefully staged photo ops than genuine acts of kindness. There's little real substance behind their efforts and no real dedication to the causes they claim to support. It's all about building their image and increasing their wealth. In short, they are opportunists using every platform available to stay relevant, no matter how inauthentic it may seem. What's even more striking is their complete lack of self-awareness. Their constant criticism of the British public, the media, and even the family that gave them everything comes across as nothing more than the actions of spoiled individuals. Every time Harry complains about his royal life, it feels like pure ingratitude. He has everything: luxury, fame, influence, and yet he continues to play the victim, while Meghan enjoys a lavish lifestyle after leaving the UK in 2020. Alongside Meghan, Harry has continuously celebrated his new life in Montecito, California, often painting a picture of blissful days spent in the sun with his children. At the New York Times Deal Book Summit, Harry spoke about his joy in being a hands-on father and how the US provides opportunities he feels he couldn't have had in the UK. Yet this idealized version of his life is increasingly overshadowed by his ongoing visa issues, a controversy that has drawn the attention of the Heritage Foundation and countless critics. The level of narcissism displayed by the couple is astonishing. Their persistent attempts to control their narrative and manipulate the media at every opportunity reveal just how far they're willing to go for the sake of their own egos. They've become master manipulators, carefully crafting public images of themselves as misunderstood heroes while throwing anyone who dares to criticize them under the bus. Their entire existence now revolves around staying in the public eye, no matter how many bridges they burn along the way. When they're not attacking the monarchy, they're taking aim at the media or the public, always playing the victim. It's a tiresome act, one that's becoming harder to tolerate. Their hypocrisy is at its peak. When you look at their supposed advocacy work, what are they really fighting for? It's tough to say. Every cause they support seems to have one goal: how will this make them look? Meghan's supposed efforts for women's rights and Harry's work to raise awareness about mental health are undoubtedly noble causes. But when these causes are championed by people whose actions are so disconnected from the struggles they claim to support, it's hard to take them seriously. How can they speak about the suffering of the oppressed when they live in lavish homes surrounded by luxury? How can they call for systemic change when they themselves are the very definition of privilege? Harry and Meghan's entire existence has become a paradox, one that is both frustrating and absurd. They claim to stand for everything good and just, but their actions reveal something far more selfish and self-serving. They've become a modern-day version of the privileged elite, willing to do anything to protect their wealth, status, and influence. They are now the very thing they once claimed to despise, a symbol of everything that's wrong with celebrity culture. Despite all their talk about wanting to change the world, the only thing they've truly changed is their bank account. The saga of Harry and Meghan has turned into a growing spectacle that many find increasingly ridiculous, bordering on absurd. Rather than appearing brave or noble in their rebellion, their actions only highlight their deep contradictions. This is not a couple fighting against oppression, rather. They are so deeply entrenched in privilege that their cries for justice feel completely hollow. It's as if they're so disconnected from the world around them that they've forgotten the very essence of the causes they claim to support. Rather than becoming true advocates for the oppressed, Harry and Meghan have built an image of self-absorption and narcissism that feels disingenuous at best. It's striking to see how Harry, who once appeared genuinely interested in helping others, has let his bitterness and resentment take over. His constant snide remarks and sarcastic jabs at the royal family haven't done anything to improve the conversation. They've only dragged him deeper into a pit of self-pity and childish spite. At every opportunity, he blames his family for his troubles, but it's clear to anyone with a clear perspective that his own actions have played a significant role in the fallout. Instead of showing any gratitude for the life he had, Harry indulges in a self-created martyrdom that is anything but convincing. Each sharp remark seems less like an honest critique and more like a plea for attention. It's hard not to question if Harry, deep down, thrives on the chaos, unable to face the possibility of slipping into irrelevance. Meghan, on the other hand, has arguably taken the lead when it comes to contradictions. Her bold displays in public reveal the extent she's willing to go to maintain admiration and applause. She's positioned herself as a symbol of feminism and a champion for women's rights, all while enjoying the luxuries only immense wealth can provide. The irony of it all is impossible to miss. Meghan speaks of understanding the struggles of marginalized communities, yet her actions often tell a different story. Private jets, high-end fashion, and opulent events seem to overshadow her calls for equality. It's as if she believes that crafting the right narrative and image can mask the glaring inconsistencies in her lifestyle, but reality doesn't work that way. Her sincerity feels questionable at best, and at worst, it seems like a strategy to keep them in the spotlight. The rare moments when they've spoken out as a couple genuinely committed to positive change are overshadowed by actions that suggest a stronger desire to stay relevant, often by revisiting their past for every ounce of publicity. Adding to the controversy, the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, has raised concerns about Harry's immigration status. They've gone as far as filing lawsuits to determine whether the Duke disclosed his history of drug use when applying for residency. Harry's memoir Spare, where he openly admits to using marijuana, cocaine, and psychedelics, has given critics plenty of material. Under U.S. immigration law, admitting to drug use can result in denial of entry or revocation of a visa. However, in September 2023, Judge Carl Nichols ruled that Harry's immigration records would remain confidential, a decision that only fueled public outrage. There's something deeply unsettling about Harry and Meghan's approach to activism and public life. The glaring contrast between their extravagant lifestyle and their supposed dedication to social causes is hard to ignore. Meghan has built much of her public image on portraying herself as a victim misunderstood and oppressed while enjoying the privileges of fame and wealth. The gap between her rhetoric and her reality is striking. It often feels as though she believes that simply voicing support for a cause is enough, overshadowing the efforts of those genuinely fighting for change and progress, ultimately weakening the very movements they claim to champion. It's increasingly evident that Harry and Meghan's priorities have shifted from making a meaningful difference to building their personal brand. Their carefully crafted image appears less about impact and more about attracting followers, securing media attention, and generating income. Their so-called humanitarian work now feels like a marketing strategy, leveraging their royal ties and celebrity status to maintain relevance and profitability. Every move they make feels meticulously planned, highlighting a sense of entitlement that has been evident from the very beginning. Harry and Meghan seem to project an air of superiority, as though the world owes them simply because of their royal lineage. Harry's repeated criticisms of his family and the media only add to this impression. Instead of taking accountability for his choices, he shifts the blame to others, his family, the press, even the public, for the consequences of his actions. But the reality is that Harry and Meghan are not victims. They have carefully crafted their own narrative and have willingly shaped it to serve their interests. Their frequent snide remarks and sarcastic digs only create more distance between them and the public. Instead of fostering meaningful conversations or attempting to reconcile with the institution they left behind, they've chosen a path of passive-aggressive comments and sharp one-liners, which further alienates them from those they seek to influence. Their act has grown tiresome, and it's hard to imagine anyone still taking it seriously. The constant sarcastic digs at the royal family only strengthen the perception that Harry and Meghan are more focused on playing a game than tackling real issues. In many ways, their behavior has turned into a tragic comedy. There's nothing more off-putting than witnessing their complaints about their circumstances, all while enjoying immense privilege. Every step they take is met with scrutiny, and yet they seem to embrace the narrative that paints them as victims of some grand conspiracy. They want the benefits of royal life without the accompanying responsibilities, and when they don't get their way, their responses resemble petulant outbursts. Their departure from the monarchy has been marked by a lack of grace, leaving them as exaggerated versions of their former selves, a parody of what they once represented. If Harry and Meghan have proven anything, it's their skill in creating distractions. Every public appearance or statement they make draws attention away from individuals and causes that are genuinely making a difference. The harder they try to position themselves as champions of change, the more they expose their reality. They are not heroes, they are opportunists. By exploiting the system for personal gain, they have alienated themselves from the very people they claim to support. Their unrelenting pursuit of attention has only highlighted their true priorities. Their shallow approach to activism has made it nearly impossible to take them seriously. Harry's snarky remarks and Meghan's meticulously staged appearances reek of desperation. It's hard not to view them as two individuals so consumed by their quest for relevance that they've lost touch with who they once were. They've become less about substance and more about spectacle, a brand, a product, a show. In the end, Harry and Meghan's legacy is unlikely to be one of genuine social impact or meaningful contributions. Instead, they risk being remembered as emblematic of everything wrong with celebrity culture individuals who prioritize self-promotion above all else. Their relentless sarcasm, biting commentary, and glaring hypocrisy have cemented a public image defined not by progress or change, but by their inability to transcend the petty, self-serving narratives they've spun. It's as if they've trapped themselves in their own drama, more focused on maintaining attention than making a real difference. Their public statements, often laced with sarcasm and passive aggression, have only served to distance them further from the audience they once appeared eager to serve. The more they speak, the more their true nature is revealed, individuals who, despite lofty claims of wanting to make a difference, have become little more than a spectacle. Every move they make now feels like part of a calculated performance designed to ensure they remain in the spotlight at any cost. Meanwhile, the Heritage Foundation remains relentless in its pursuit of Harry's immigration records. Although Judge Nichols ruled in favor of protecting Harry's privacy, the foundation has filed new court documents in an effort to reopen the case. They allege a lack of transparency in how the Biden administration handled the matter. Niall Gardner, the foundation's director, has boldly predicted that a Trump administration would overturn the decision, potentially leading to the release of Harry's files. Shifting focus to Meghan, the holiday season brings yet another insightful glimpse into her carefully curated family life with Harry and their two children, Archie and Lilibet. With their picture-perfect portrayal of holiday cheer, the couple continues to build their empire on self-promotion. But beneath the polished surface, this festive image feels like a desperate attempt to mask the cracks in their fractured reality. Meghan claims that Christmas only gets better each year, yet the sincerity of such statements feels as staged as the image they project. Every year, as their children grow older, how delightful. It almost feels like Meghan is trying to convince herself more than anyone else. Naturally, her idea of a better Christmas seems to involve more luxury, more seclusion, and plenty of picture-perfect moments designed to captivate their devoted followers. But like much of what they do, it's just a facade. Beneath the sparkling exterior lies a much less glamorous reality. Meghan's description of their holiday plans sounds like the script for a Hallmark movie if Hallmark ever ventured into stories about a couple who abandoned royal life to embrace Hollywood stardom. Christmas gets better every year. Feels like the mantra of someone whose life revolves around endless reinvention, always paired with a hefty dose of strategic PR. This holiday season will surely follow the same formula. In Meghan's mind, the perfect Christmas involves immaculately decorated trees, flawless photo ops with the kids, and carefully choreographed meaningful moments that project the image of a deeply connected family. It's a vision crafted to look relatable, yet polished, masking the cracks beneath the surface with a glossy veneer of holiday cheer. Let's be honest, if Meghan Markle has mastered anything, it's the art of crafting a narrative that unfolds exactly the way she envisions, but the reality is far less glamorous. Despite all her talk about creating the perfect family dynamic, there's an undeniable void in this picture, one that Harry and Meghan have brought upon themselves. Their life in Montecito, while picturesque on the surface, is shadowed by a painful estrangement from both sides of their families. Archie and Lilibet are growing up without cousins to share Christmas memories with, without the familial connections that Harry once cherished so deeply. No amount of decorations or curated joy can change the fact that this holiday season, like the ones before it, will only highlight their isolation. For all the freedom Harry has gained in Montecito, he can't escape the sadness of knowing his children will never experience the royal family the way he did. The traditions, the bonds, and the sense of belonging that once defined his own Christmases are now distant memories. This Christmas will stand as another stark reminder of what has been lost. Meghan claims that the joy of Christmas lies in making new memories, but at what cost? Harry will likely sit in their California mansion watching Meghan create Instagram-worthy moments with Archie and Lilibet, while the rest of his family, his father, his brother, even his once close sister-in-law celebrates together in England, likely without giving him a second thought. Can this really be called better, or does it simply reveal the cracks in a marriage born out of chaos and bitterness? Let's be honest, Harry's holiday season will undoubtedly be clouded by a sense of loss. While the royal family gathers for their traditional Christmas service at Sandringham, Harry will be far from the festivities. The memories of his own childhood, filled with cousins, gift exchanges, and family time, will only remind him of what he no longer has. It's a painful reality, one that will surely hit Harry harder this year than ever before. Perhaps this is the price Harry pays for leaving it all behind in search of fame and fortune. Yet there's a quiet irony in it all. The same man who once sought the media's attention, who reveled in his royal status in the public eye, now finds himself in Hollywood, lamenting the loss of family while clinging to what's left of his former life. He's dismantled everything for the illusion of freedom, but it's a sad reality. The once beloved Prince Harry has now become the man who mourns his family, all while sitting in a gilded cage of his own making. If only he had known the cost of walking away, perhaps he would have thought twice before beginning this journey. Meanwhile, Meghan is busy playing the role of queen in their carefully crafted holiday scene, decorating the tree and making everything seem special. But let's not be deceived, her idea of a low-key Christmas is a far cry from the reality most people experience. Meghan's version of a low-key Christmas includes over-the-top decorations, a separate tree just for the children to decorate, and of course a carefully crafted holiday narrative for social media. The fact that she's so determined to convince the world of her humble holiday life says a lot. Meghan's whole persona is built on portraying herself as a self-made success who has it all together. Yet the cracks are starting to show. Yes, she may have her mother, Doria Raglan, by her side, but what about the rest of her family? Meghan's strained relationship with her father, Thomas Markle, is well known, and her apparent lack of interest in mending things with him speaks volumes about her inability to come to terms with her past. The public isn't buying her image of the perfect family unit. How could they, when every move she makes reeks of self-interest and a desperate need for validation? The ongoing efforts of the Heritage Foundation to dig into Harry's past only highlight a broader public sentiment that is starting to question their entire narrative. Harry cannot escape the same laws that apply to ordinary citizens. Critics argue that his royal background and connections have given him an unfair advantage, offering him leniency that others wouldn't receive. The threat of his visa being revoked remains a contentious issue, especially as Meghan's PR machine continues to push the narrative of their persecution. Samantha Markle's public plea for Meghan to reconcile with her father serves as a stark reminder of the fractured Markle family. While Meghan continues to display her perfect life on social media, the loneliness she tries so hard to conceal is still an undeniable part of her reality. Maybe it's not about having the perfect Christmas after all. Perhaps it's about trying to convince herself that the family she turned her back on no longer matters, even though their absence is a constant reminder of the choices she's made. Meghan and Harry will no doubt craft new traditions for their children, set against the luxurious backdrop of Montecito, California, where every moment is carefully curated. But no matter how much they try to create a picture-perfect holiday, the one thing they can't recreate is the connection they've sacrificed in pursuit of their own narrative. Meghan may claim that each holiday season gets better, but the absence of family, cousins, and the royal circle that Harry once cherished will always linger like an unwelcome guest at the table. There's also a clear inconsistency in Meghan's narrative. While she claims that Christmas is all about family, the truth is that her own family, the people who matter most, remain sidelined. Thomas Markle may be dealing with health struggles, but Meghan seems far too consumed by her newly crafted California lifestyle to reach out. Her open admission of estrangement speaks volumes about her priorities, and they clearly don't include the family who supported her before the fame, the glossy photos, or the carefully curated social media posts. No matter how many new traditions Meghan and Harry try to create, the truth is undeniable. They are a family in mourning, yet as they continue to build their empire of self-promotion, one can't help but wonder if they'll ever escape the hollow emptiness of the life they've chosen. As Meghan and Harry prepare for another holiday season in their Montecito mansion, it's hard not to be struck by the sheer audacity of their carefully crafted narratives. Meghan, the self-proclaimed queen of low-key, has once again become the star of her own reality show. In her eyes, the holiday season is just another chance to present their picture-perfect family life, all wrapped up like a reality TV script. Each year, they manage to outdo themselves, but not in the way they think. Meghan talks about how Christmas gets better every year as the children grow, but what she doesn't mention is that with each passing year, more cracks begin to show in her carefully constructed persona. Christmas in Montecito isn't about the warm family gatherings that many people experience. For Meghan and Harry, it's a chance to flaunt the perfect tree, extravagant decorations, and social media moments meant to garner maximum attention. The children may be growing up quickly as Meghan claims, but it's clear she can't resist relishing every moment of their lives being the centerpiece of her online spectacle. Yet the real traditions, the quiet, unspoken moments that bring families closer, seem like an afterthought for them. What matters more is the image of joy they've crafted, one that masks the uncomfortable truth beneath it all. A family divided, a public that no longer buys into their act, and the glaring absence of meaningful connections beyond their privileged bubble Christmas for Meghan and Harry seems like a carefully orchestrated performance, complete with a perfect script they expect the public to applaud. While Meghan focuses on crafting the ultimate perfect family holiday, there's an underlying sadness in her story, one she conveniently skips over when recounting her festive plans. Her mother, Doria Raglan, may be there, but the rest of her family is noticeably absent. Meghan's estrangement from her father, Thomas Markle, remains a major chapter in her narrative of reinvention. Her decision to cut ties with him has left deep, unresolved wounds that continue to define her life. What's striking about Meghan's holiday story is the lack of any acknowledgement of her role in these rifts. Samantha Markle's recent plea for Meghan to reconnect with their ailing father has gone unheard. Rather than reconciling, Meghan seems more invested in maintaining the illusion of a perfect life, a life built on fame, influence, and control. To Meghan, a lonely Christmas isn't about introspection or healing. It's about staging yet another flawless moment for Instagram. In her mind, the absence of Thomas Markle doesn't matter because, after all, the world loves a good picture-perfect holiday. Meghan's curated image, not the truth behind the scenes, continues to take center stage. It's striking how she markets her life as though it's a revolutionary new model for family life. Her focus on creating new traditions seems like a way to cover up the absence of the family she chose to distance herself from. Meghan talks about playing games and enjoying meals with Doria, as if that somehow makes up for the years of estrangement. But here's the bitter irony: no matter how many Christmas trees they decorate or how many photos they share of their low-key holiday fun, the emptiness in their family dynamic remains glaringly clear. While Harry promotes the joys of his Californian life, his actions and words tell a different story. His sporadic visits to the UK, framed as dutiful pilgrimages for key royal events, appear more like PR stunts than genuine efforts to reconnect with family. The couple's appearances at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral and various tributes to Diana have often been overshadowed by their clear desire to remain in the media spotlight. Ironically, the very thing they claim to despise. Harry, of course, plays his part in this drama, portraying the dutiful father who finds joy in watching his children get excited for Christmas. Yet even he must occasionally face the reality of his fractured family. Meghan may proudly present their perfect holiday, but the truth remains their children will grow up without meaningful connections to either side of their family. There will be no cousins to play with, no shared memories of Christmases past. Instead, Archie and Lilibet will grow up in a world defined by privilege, isolation, and relentless self-promotion. How much longer can they maintain the illusion? Though their lavish lifestyle may temporarily fill the void, there must be some awareness, however buried, that something crucial is missing from the picture.